I mean, did you feel at this point that like you have something and this comedy's going to be your career, even though you're not really getting the recognition yet? I mean, you're still doing open mics, which is what they throw you a few dollars afterwards. You're not supporting yourself through comedy at all.
Not at all. I had a husband, thank God. Mm-hmm. I just knew it was something there. And I told my husband, you know, when he told me, I want you to go get a job. And I said, because I worked at General Motors. I worked at Ford. And I said, no, it's something with this comedy, and I want to stick with it. And so I would go up there and get treated like crap every week. But I was shut. Comedy taught me how to be quiet, it humbled the hell out of me. Because I'm a feisty person. I would get them slap shit at you. But you can't do that in this business when somebody got something that you need. And what he had was a stage. It taught me patience. Because when you first come in, you get a few laughs, you automatically think you're gonna become famous. Oh, I'm gonna be. No, it don't work like that. You might not never get an opportunity.
Right.
But I knew it was something there for me. And then moving to Indianapolis taught me how to dig deep, how to start turning all this pain I had into laughter, into something funny. And then I started to heal. But I still had this one dude at this club who treated me like crap all the time.
Well, you're still living in Indianapolis, and you started doing podcasts. You started appearing on other people's podcasts.
Well, before that, let's back up a little bit. So I go on here, I do, it's a show in Indianapolis called Bob and Tom. They're almost like, I call them the White Breakfast Club. Because at the time they're huge, you know, in that market. And so I just wanted to get on the Bob and Tom show. But this owner would block me. He would not allow, he was a club, he paid for comedians to go over there, but he would never let them up there. Somehow I got on that show. And I'm nervous because, you know, my mama told me when I was a kid, she said, white people are better than you. Never look them in the eye. So my whole life, I was scared of white people. And I never lived, I didn't have to deal with white people until I really moved to Indianapolis. So when I moved up there, I was really fucking scared of, like, white people made me nervous because I didn't have to really deal with them. So I go into the radio station, I sit down, and don't want to really be judged from my past. I just want to be funny. My friend, Dion Curry, texted me and said, bitch, you bombing. You better tell them white boys you got shot. You better tell them white boys you was a drug dealer. I said, but I don't think they understand. He said, they understand. And so I opened my mouth. I said, I told y'all I got shot in the titty. And the room fucking exploded. Oh my God. They was like, I became interesting. That day I became interested. And from that day on, they just kept inviting me back. Then podcasts come along. We had Morty's Comedy Joint. And a comedian said, Miss Pat, this comedian looking for, and I can't remember his name right now. He looking for somebody with an interesting story.
Eddie Ifft?
Eddie Ifft. Love Eddie Ifft. People don't know Eddie Ifft started this thing for me. Thank you, Eddie. So he said, Eddie Ifft is looking for comedians with interesting stories. And I said, I told him about you. So, but Eddie Ifft lived in California. I wasn't making no money. I lived in Indiana. So he said, hey, if you can come up here and do my podcast. And I'm like, I had a manager at the time. He's like, you gonna fly to LA and do something for free? I said, I don't know, but I think these white boys are on the song because I keep hearing this word podcast. So I get my husband credit card and buy me a flight. Boy, did we argue about that shit. He was pissed. How dare you go spend my money when you making no damn money? I go to LA. I rent me a car. I get me a cheap hotel room. And I go do Eddie Ifft podcast. Broke as fuck. And boy, they thought I was something brand new. I look up and then people just started asking me to do their podcast, asking me. And I remember my friend Avery, who worked at Morty's Comedy Show, he said, if you get on Joe Rogan podcast, your life is going to change. And I said, Joe Rogan, that's the man from Fear Factor. He got a damn podcast. Nobody black was really doing podcasts. It was all white boys. And they were just passing me around like, oh, y'all got to get on this podcast. She's so funny. She's so funny. If I had all them little dicks in me, I'd have a bowl of spaghetti. And so I landed on Ari Shaffir podcast. And we are doing his podcast in the park, and he's Jewish, and so we sitting there, and these people walk by with these little bowls on their head, little Hasidic Jews, I think that's what they're called.
Hasidic Jews, yeah.
With the little curly fries hanging down their face, and boy, he thought that shit was hilarious, because I was like, what's up with these people? We're wearing these little curls on the side of their head. What wrong with these fucking? I said, they Jews too. He's like, them Hasidic Jews. I was like, they fucking up their haircuts. So,
they do have fucked up haircuts. That is true. They shave like the side of their heads. They got the curls on the side.
Keep that little spaghetti bowl at the top. And so I went from Ari, and then Ari created a show called a storytelling show, and I did Joe Rogan podcast, and Joe Rogan, Mark Maron was on that same episode, and I think Joe Rogan was telling Mark Maron how funny I was, and I got on Mark Maron. Mark Maron, I was trying to sell a book at the time, and we had it set up perfect, and Mark Maron was a part of it. Him and Joe Rogan podcast released like back to back, and Hollywood came calling.
Okay, so getting on these podcasts really changed your life.
Shit, I gotta say this. Those podcasts was my Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. From Ari Shaffir to Bert Kreischer to Tom Segura to Eddie Ifft, who got it started, to Joe Rogan to Mark Maron, and so many other ones.
Yeah, Bert Kreischer, who I've interviewed before, Kevin Hart.
Ari, I love Ari.
What did you think? Because Ari got a lot of heat when he made fun of Kobe's death.
He did.
Yeah, but he does that with everyone who dies. It's his thing. But when he did it with Kobe, people got extra upset.
I told Ari, I said, when you want to make a joke about a black person dying, call me first.
Run it by me.
And he was like, I just made fun of Aretha Franklin. I said, she's not Kobe.
Yeah.
I said, and it's the way she died. I said, it probably was funny to you and maybe funny to us later, but it wasn't funny that day. What really made me mad I didn't get mad, but what was shocking to the comedy community is a lot of people was like, oh, he's racist. He's not racist. Or just fucking say crazy stuff. We'll give you the clothes off his back if I could fit him. I mean, he's really a genuine friend. And people like, I said, he's not racist. He fucked up. So I called him, I said, don't ever make another black joke without checking in with me first.
Has he done that?
Hell yeah. I said, don't you post that shit. That ain't funny, Art. That ain't funny to the black community. I said, get that shit off my phone.